things that you learn at a young age stick with you, good or bad. And when I was young, and especially the things that I learned in scouting definitely stuck with me, and persistence is one of them. My name is Bryan Douglass. I would say, other than the zip code and the zip code I was born in and the parents I was born to, scouting is probably the most formative thing of my young life. I was one of the founders of the originators, I suppose, of the project getting this airplane airworthy and flying it to Normandy for the 75th anniversary of D-Day. I think this is the most historic airplane in Montana, and it's not even close. This is the airplane that dropped the jumpers over Man Gulch on that tragedy in 1949, and it pioneered smoke jumping really in the mountain northwest. First DC-3 that was used for smoke jumping in any real sense and made it feasible, and flew out here for 30 years for Bob Johnson, doing all kinds of stuff into backcountry, cargo, resupply, bringing in mules and horses and caterpillars, and everything you can imagine is flown in this airplane. For us to restore it and fly it to Normandy on behalf of the state of Montana in 2019, I think just added to its cachet as a super famous airplane, and really the representative of Montana.
I'm Skovlin. I am a junior here at MSU and a history major. I'm from Missoula, and when I was 8 years old, started doing Cub Scouts with my dad. Initially, my scouting interest and my passion for aviation were somewhat independent of each other. However, through scouting, I got to do the aviation merit badge, which was an absolute blast. Scouting is incredibly important because it fosters that beginning of leadership, and you learn so much about camaraderie, and that really accelerated my desire to eventually become a pilot. It's just been something that I've gradually gained more and more interest in, and there's certainly been events like taking the aviation merit badge and getting to see all kinds of aircraft and just kind of keeping interested in it that have really fueled that passion. After my Court of Honor, I started to get more involved with the Miss Montana project. It was in that winter of 2019 that my dad and I actually spent time out at the museum and worked with the very determined team to actually do things on the aircraft. In the spring of 2019, when the aircraft had done its first flight and was ready to go to Normandy, the crew and the museum wanted to have a big send-off gala, and I thought, well, there's a way that 1911 can help with this. This is really important to the community, and that was probably one of the highest points of my scouting career, just being involved with something like that. And we gathered to honor not only the efforts of the crew that fixed that aircraft, but also their service. And that was incredibly important to me. And I'm proud to say that I helped send Miss Montana off to Normandy.
Not long after I learned to fly, I had occasion to fly with two really experienced pilots, both about the same experience level. And one guy was a former Navy fighter pilot, and everything he did was just exactly the way that I learned it in ground school and in training. He planned his flight, he flew the flight, everything was just by the book. And then not long after that, I flew with another guy, and similar age and experience. He was disorganized, he missed radio calls, he got behind the airplane, and it struck me as why was it that way? And I talked to a friend, and he said, well, that's primacy of training. The primacy of training that scouts get is so formative, and it should be for the rest of their lives.